in the summer. Madam President, very short question for you. When exactly we can expect that negotiation with Ukraine start in reality? And second part of this question, because you know very well situation in Ukraine on the ground. What is your opinion? How long it will last? I mean, negotiation. Thank you.
So to take the second question first, it depends, of course, it's a merits-based process, so it depends on the speed of reform and change of topics that are necessary in this negotiation process. But how does it start? We give today the recommendation to open accession negotiations. This is very important to the Council. The Council then takes the political decision. We have a European Council mid-December. There this will be on the table. If the Council takes the political decision to say, yes, we take the recommendation of the Commission and open accession negotiations, the work can start immediately. It's very technical what then starts. We have a few, or Ukraine has a few reforms still, if I may say, in the pipeline, in the making, on their way. They have to finish that work. It is explicitly in our recommendation. And by March, we will then report on the progress. But we can start immediately when the European Council has given green light in its decision in December.
Thank you, Kirill. Yeah.
Yes, Madam von der Leyen, can you clarify the difference between recommendation to Ukraine and Moldova and the one to Bosnia, as there is not a clear cut in Bosnian case? Can this be considered as conditional recommendation or no recommendation at all because you still didn't recommend opening of accession talks? Thank you.
Oh, yes, we recommend the opening, now Bosnia and Herzegovina, we recommend the opening of accession negotiations once certain criteria are met. Let me take a picture. We open the door very wide and we invite Bosnia and Herzegovina now to go through this door. For that, of course, there has to be activity in Bosnia and Herzegovina, results have to be shown, but the door is now opened very wide to welcome Bosnia and Herzegovina for the accession talks.
Yeah. You need to press the button on the mic and then wait until it's red.
Thank you so much. Eric, thank you so much for giving me the floor. And Madam President, Mr. Commissioner, first of all, I want to start with huge thank you because it's a very emotional day for us. It's a historic day and I'm happy that I'm here and I'm sharing these moments with you. We want candidate status and we want to reach membership of this organization. Can you tell us more about the next step? When should Georgia expect opening negotiations as Ukraine and Moldova, and what are the conditions? Because there will be many questions about it, and I want also to use this opportunity and ask my second question. This week, Russian occupied forces, Russian soldiers killed our Georgian citizen in front of a Georgian church. Can you comment on this also? Thank you so much.
So first of all, it is a day to celebrate in Georgia. Indeed, candidate state. We say there are still topics to be done, homework to be done, and this is detailed out in the report and in the recommendation, but it's a big step forward for Georgia, and this also acknowledges the majority of the people in Georgia to join the European Union. You want?
Hold on. I'm coming. Yes, we have followed what has happened, and of course we stand by the territorial integrity of Georgia, and of course this is an alarming news that on the territory which is controlled by the government of Georgia, something like this can happen. So I think we need to help Georgia to find the perpetrators. We are standing by in full solidarity with the people of Georgia and with the government of Georgia.
Opportunity, Mindaugas Laukagalis from Lithuania National Radio and Television. In the past decade, I have a question for Madam President. In the past decade, we've seen that EU enlargement process has lost its momentum and basically stopped. There was no progress. How the Commission will ensure that this time the same story won't happen again, that the momentum that appears to be now will continue from the EU side? Thank you.
Yes, what we see already, what we experience is that the momentum is already there. So the atrocious war that Russia unleashed against Ukraine, of course, has created an enormous push forward because it is very clear our neighborhood has to choose where they want to go. And the Western Balkans, Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine have very clearly chosen. They want to join the European Union. And this gave a momentum and an impetus to those countries that is remarkable. If you look into the report and you see the list of reforms achieved, it shows the determination and the steadfastness that is behind the political will and the will of the population, the people, to move towards the European Union. And also for us, it is a very important moment because we know that these countries are our European family. We want them in the European Union. There's work to be done, but we are very clear about what our aim is. And therefore, I also always call on all of us to use this momentum now to finish the work. It's hard work still ahead of us, but we are on a very good trajectory, and this momentum should be used.
Augustin.
Thank you. Augustin Palokaj from Jutarnji List, Croatia. I have a question on Kosovo, the only country now that doesn't have at least recommendations, even for candidate status, out of 10 that are in the package. So when you visited the region, you said that Serbia should make a de facto recognition of Kosovo. This is a statement also by the leaders of 3 biggest EU member states. What are your expectations for Kosovo? Because Kosovo cannot count only in the undefined European path without the clear perspective of becoming a candidate country. Thank you.
I think it is important for Kosovo that has a very clear goal also to join the European Union, that we are very clear also what we expect from Kosovo, and that the country can deliver. We have discussed when I was in the region the implementation of the draft statute that Kosovo has gotten for the municipalities. And this implementation would be a big step forward. It's in the interest of Kosovo. I also think that if we look at Kosovo and Serbia, it is important for us that we give each country its unique possibility to move forward towards the European Union. So not to tie too much both together, because the incentive is much more positive if the question that we ask is, what is your contribution to move towards the European Union? What are your activities? And that we emphasize the country's genuine contribution to on their path towards the European Union. You want to add something?
Yes, just one sentence. I think it is also very important to see that, yes, there is an application for membership put forward by Kosovo. It is in the Council, and the Council has not an opinion on it. We are ready to provide the opinion. It is not my task to interpret the position of the Council or the Member States, but our feeling is, and you can also read this in our report, is that for Kosovo, the European path is coming through a successful dialogue.
Yes, please. Please present yourself. You need to take the mic. No, right next to you there's a mic. And push the button and wait until it's red.
Okay. First of all, thank you for recognizing Moldova's effort to become a full state EU member. And our question is, if one of the EU members countries doesn't not vote in the upcoming summit for the open of negotiations, so what are the next steps for Moldova, and does it? Thank you.
So I think it's very important. I'm very confident that Moldova will move on, because your track record, Moldova's track record, is impressive. Under very difficult circumstances, you are deeply strengthening and reforming your country. And we are speaking about a merits-based process. Here are the merits of Moldova that we have to acknowledge. And this is what we're speaking all about. Therefore, I'm not fixing it on a date. A merits-based process is not fixed to a date, but you can be faster or you can be slower. And Moldova is showing what a fast progress looks like.
Bruno. British.
Sorry about that. As you said, history is calling. There's a real surge in the aspirations of the neighbourhood of Ukraine, Moldova, to join the EU. You said that Ukrainians and the Moldovans in very, very difficult circumstances have done a lot of homework, 90% for Kyiv. That's pretty impressive. But what about the European side? What message have you got to European governments who've got quite a lot of homework to do themselves? When do you want to see that homework completed?
So, indeed, it is impressive to see that the countries that are we discussed here on the podium all have understood the call or heard the call of history, and that is that you have to choose. You want democracy and prosperity, or you want an authoritarian regime and dependence of the judicial system. You want to join the European Union, then there are certain steps to be taken. But we also have the discussion, of course, in the European Union, because democracy, we're never done with the work for democracy. We have always to keep up the good work and always make sure that democracy is alive and working. And this is a principle of values. Values are universal. But the question is whether we live them. If we live them, then it is connected to our discussions at home, to our input in creating the necessary legal framework. So democracy is something that you have to earn every single day. Now, more focused on the accession process, it is very good that we also have started the discussion internally. What does this mean for the European Union and its structures? And this shows that we are very serious about enlargement. We are not only asking the countries that want to join the European Union to undergo reforms and to perform towards the European Union, but we are also asking ourselves, what do we have to do to be ready for an enlargement by countries that are mature?
Next to Giovanni. Yeah. You wanted to ask a question? No, not Giovanni, next to you. Yes. Sorry, I don't know your first name.
Ja, ich hätte gerne zwei Fragen auf Deutsch, bitte. Die erste Frage, Frau von der Leyen. Ihr Amtsvorgänger, Herr Juncker, hält die Ukraine wegen der grassierenden Korruption für nicht beitrittsfähig und hat vor falschen Versprechen gewarnt. Haben Sie sich mit ihm darüber unterhalten und halten Sie einen Status unterhalb der Vollmitgliedschaft für möglich? Und die zweite Frage, Sie empfehlen den Statusverhandlungen mitten im Krieg. Das ist, glaube ich, ein Präzedenzfall. Welchen Sinn machen Verhandlungen über einen EU-Beitritt im Krieg? Und könnte ein Beitritt bei anhaltenden Kämpfen oder sogar Gebietskonflikten stattfinden? Dankeschön.
Der Fortschritt, den wir in der Ukraine sehen, ist beeindruckend. Die Ukraine, die bereits vor 10 Jahren, als die Maidan-Proteste begannen, sehr deutlich gemacht hat, dass ihr größter Wunsch ist, der Europäischen Union beizutreten. Die Bevölkerung kämpft darum seit 10 Jahren jetzt, hat nicht nur diesen Wunsch ausgedrückt, sondern arbeitet täglich hart daran, alle die Reformen auch durchzuführen, die notwendig sind, um der Europäischen Union beizutreten. Und diese Reformen sind beeindruckend. Der Kampf gegen Korruption, der Kampf gegen Geldwäsche, die Festigung und Stärkung des juristischen Systems, das sind nur einige Beispiele der Reformen, die in den letzten Monaten durchgeführt worden sind. Wir sehen Ergebnisse, die umgesetzt werden im täglichen Leben der Ukraine, also dass nicht nur das Gesetz da ist, sondern auch die Umsetzung des Gesetzes da ist. Und deshalb ist es richtig, jetzt die Eröffnung der Beitrittsgespräche und Beitrittsverhandlungen mit der Ukraine vorzuschlagen. Ich bin der festen Überzeugung, dass es auch eine Stärkung der Ukraine ist in ihrem beeindruckenden Kampf gegen den Angriffskrieg, den Russland gegen sie führt. Wir stehen voll an der Seite der Ukraine und deshalb ist das auch noch mal ein ganz klares Signal der Unterstützung der Europäischen Union der Ukraine.
Susanne.
Actually, we know by experience that this process can take well, it is a process that is taking forever. So basically, I would like to understand how to make sure that this is not about creating false warning about this, and I'm thinking about Portugal. And since I'm talking about Portugal, let me ask you also this question. Are you aware or are you surprised by the fact that Prime Minister Costa quit yesterday? And have you talked to each other? And the most important thing is, do you see a risk here for the implementation of the RRF in Portugal?
So we follow the news from Portugal, and it is now up to the national authorities to investigate. I think we've discussed a lot now the length of accession negotiations or the process of accession. Perhaps it's worth to look at the countries that joined already the European Union. And there you see that the time period they needed to join the European Union is very different. And it depended very much on the activities a country developed and the speed it made with the reforms. So once again, stating that it is a merits-based process implies you can speed up if you want to. And I think the last 20 months have shown that a lot of countries that want to join the European Union have heard this call. They have intensified the reform. They have sped up the reform process, and they have strengthened their institutions. Not all of them, but the vast majority is following the call of history. It's in their hand, but it's in our interest.
Jeanne.
Oui, bonjour. Ici. Bonjour. Jeanne Grandin, journaliste à l'Opinion. Plusieurs pays ont... Vous voulez que je dise en anglais ou I can do it in English? Several countries. Okay. Plusieurs pays suggèrent que si on intègre tous ces nouveaux pays dans l'UE, il faudrait développer l'idée d'une UE à cercle concentrique parce que ça ne sera pas possible d'avoir le même fonctionnement institutionnel avec tous ces nouveaux pays. Est-ce que vous pensez qu'en effet, cette idée d'une Europe à géométrie variable ou à cercle concentrique est possible? Et est-ce que vous pourrez proposer des changements en ce sens au Conseil pour leur dire ce qu'il est possible de faire institutionnellement? Merci.
Perhaps you start first.
Yes. Well, also a bit responding to the previous question. what you see proposed today should also contribute accelerating the whole enlargement process. And this is why, for example, the growth plan is going to be fundamental. But as the President also said, this is a merit-based process. So there are things we cannot do instead of the candidate countries. It is their work that counts. Their work is the basis of any enlargement. Now, on the institutional reforms, yes, the institutional reforms are discussed in the Council. But if there is one message I think coming through is that, first of all, there is no conditionality between enlargement and institutional reforms. The second is that the EU is fit for enlargement with the current set of treaties and with the current set of rules, and we should be able to enlarge and welcome new member states even on the basis of the current treaties. Yes, one can always think about how to improve, how to further evolve, but this is not because of enlargement. This is because we want to improve our European Union. So these are two separate discussions, and we should keep them separate.
Perhaps if we have the topic of speed again, this gives me the opportunity to emphasize the second proposal today that has been adopted by the Commission, that is the growth plan. And I want to emphasize what you already said, Commissioner. What we're doing here is exceptional, because we know by experience from former enlargement rounds that the miracle of prosperity came with joining the single market. We saw in the accessing countries, the countries that joined, a huge rise in living standard, and it was also beneficial for our internal market. And therefore, we are already starting this process now with the growth plan. It is exceptional that we propose to say we open our single market in 7 important sectors for you, the Western Balkans. We expect you to also open among you the common regional market. If you only open the common regional market, it is a boost of 10% for their GDP. But joining also our single market already now could double their economies in the next decade. And for that, we, of course, say we need a level playing field. You have to be competitive. So we accompany that with reforms that you are doing, plus investment. And this is a huge step forward that we take already now. We do not wait till there is the final decision of accession, the political accession, but we already open the doors of economic prosperity and joining the single market and enlarging also for our single market businesses, the market towards the common regional market in the Western Balkans.
Thank you. Philippe Régnier on Interaction.
Oui, bonjour, merci. Excusez mon absence qui est due à un petit Covid. J'ai une question plus politique que pour la présidente. Vous soulignez que l'élargissement est un investissement dans notre sécurité, dans la stabilité du continent. Mais comment est-ce que je peux expliquer à mes lecteurs que c'est le cas vis-à-vis de l'Ukraine, qui est un pays en guerre, en partie occupé, et si demain la paix revient en Ukraine, eh bien, elle sera toujours voisine d'un pays belliqueux, éventuellement même revanchard. Alors comment expliquer cela, que donc cet élargissement en l'état est un investissement dans notre stabilité, dans notre sécurité? Merci beaucoup.
Russia's goal was to wipe Ukraine off the map. If Russia would have succeeded, you can imagine what that would have meant for our security. It is good that Russia's strategic goals, Russia failed on its strategic goals. On the contrary, Ukraine as a nation is stronger than ever before. And this shows how important it is to stabilize the Ukrainian democracy, to stand by them, and to make sure that they will overcome this massive aggression and the war unleashed by Russia against Ukraine. If you take the wider circle of countries that want to join the European Union, as I think we both said at the beginning of this press conference, this is a decisive time. The countries have to make choices and very clearly to say which side they are choosing. And it is very clear also when you travel through the region and the countries that want to join the European Union we are reporting on today, they also are very clear that they want to join the European Union because they see the difference. There are several countries trying to interfere in that process. But for us is to keep up the good work and to give them the strength they need on their path forward towards the European Union.
Okay, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the press conference. Thank you. There will be a technical briefing following this press conference. Thank you.